Hey everyone, these are the stats for this year. I'm done with all the months and documenting what I read each month. So now I use screenshots from the app Storygraph to document the kind of books that I like, either fiction versus nonfiction, the pace, how many pages, the moods, the genres. So in this first one, I have a pie chart of the moods, and then I have a graph of the genres that I read this year. And I have this backing of a sticker sheet that I've been trying to use as a background for something, but nothing really works out. So I'm just gonna go with paper. And I was trying to use paper from the I think it's called Resting Book Face from Syncopation, and that sheet is originally blue, but what I did was I think I inverted I click black and white to turn it pure black and white, and then I have another version where I took these same black and white colors and I inverted it, and it looks really cool. I love playing with digital items to change the colors, and I have a video on that of how I use, digital cards to change the colors. And I ended up using the original, which is this really pretty blue. And I love it because it has all the genres with a little image in the middle. And I also have the digital stamps and the actual stamps, and I love to use them both. And putting things in the middle is always kind of a pain in the booty. You can't put it too close to the seam because then it will bend and it will be hard to close. But you also don't want it to be bigger than the actual page or be smaller on one side. So I try to cut it 4 to 6, and then I start cutting a little bit smaller, and I put the adhesive in the middle, and then I try to bend the page to make sure that in the middle nothing's gonna fold or it's too close. And then I just use scissors to cut the excess. And these last pages are just gonna be the stats, best and worst, challenges, thoughts on this year. 2022, I read 70 books between the book club and, learning to love audiobooks. I did read a lot of books, and I read a lot of graphic novels too that are a little bit shorter, so that helped a lot. This year at the beginning, I had COVID and my brain didn't work until April. And honestly, I feel dumber ever since. So I don't know what COVID did to my brain, but it wasn't great. This paper with the grid is from the Fierce collection from Tracy Reed. I'm just gonna use it to mat the photos a little bit. I also like that pattern paper with the books, but it was kind of hard to use in this format. And I usually use my guillotine to cut smaller photos like this, but I didn't want to get the big one. I was feeling lazy. It's really big. It takes a huge chunk out of my desk, so that's what I always opt to use, the smaller Fiskars guillotine or trimmer. And these are the die cuts from the Let's Get Lit collection. And I have those, and I also had some collections from Feed Your Craft and In a Creative Bubble. This one that says read more books. And I like to cut die cuts, but I also like to do a version of these die cuts with sticker paper. It's easier, and I can cut them a little bit smaller. And in projects like this, it's really easy to use. And my main focus for these pages were these graphs. So after I have that down, it's that I start adding a little bit more embellishing. And I have some elements that I cut in my silhouette cameo, but there are others that are original from the collection that I got back when Feed Your Craft was active. Right now, sadly, they're not active anymore, but anything designed by In a Creative Bubble you can buy from the In a Creative Bubble website, and it's one of my favorite digital companies. And I also had these really cool puffy words and phrases, and they went really well with these last few pages. And as always, I go with my little stars to add a little something, and my pip sticks too. I have a bunch of book related stickers from pip sticks. And I use my little quick pick to pick up little pieces like these stars and hearts. And I like how I hid the bottom of these photos behind the books and the girl on the couch. What I didn't want to cover was the numbers or any important information, so I was very careful to not hide that. I love these book stickers, but somehow when I want to use them, they don't work well with what I have. And these are the ones that I made with the digital collection from In a Creative Bubble. And I just wanted to add something now that I have both photos, so I'm going to add a little bit more embellishing. And I'm going to add the title with these puffy stickers from Citrus Twist Kids. I thought that this book was not going to be as chunky as the first one, but it ended up being more chunky, which I don't mind. But I don't mind. I love the bulk and I love little elements. But I don't know if I'm going to document the books that I read in a traveler's notebook, similar to what I did last year, or I'm just going to add them to my Project Life album. And I love this die cut that said Lost in the Stacks, so just put it right there, really close, and I love how it turned out. I didn't want to cover everything in the background because I still want you to see a few of the genres. And for this one, I'm going to use the Citrus Twist Kids Going Places collection. In my albums, all of my projects never have the same exact products and styles, from beginning to end. I like to use everything, and I don't mind if it doesn't match. As long as the 2 pages facing each other do match, I don't really care about how the whole album looks. And I always use a bone folder to kind of like round the paper towards the center. And I'm going to put some of the pie charts in these frames. I also have die cuts of those frames, so I thought that it would be a good idea to layer them. And I just keep folding the page when I put it down to make sure that everything is going to close well and fit. especially if I want to cut more at the center. I didn't want to cut too much from the right because then I would be kind of ruining the frames, so I was making sure it was the right size before I glued everything down. And as I was looking through the pie charts, I realized that I printed one of those together. So instead of 4, I was only going to have to use 3, which is perfect because it fit with, you know, it fit in the page. And I have to cut one a little bit more. And that bottom one, I am gonna have to cut it a little bit, but I don't mind. It ended up looking really nice. And I love using the app Storygraph to get these stats, but it's not the most user-friendly app. I still prefer Goodreads, and I wish that, I mean, you can merge it with Goodreads once, and if you want to do it again, you have to delete everything, otherwise you get the book appears twice. It's kind of annoying. I haven't used the app in a while. Maybe once they'll do a better job, you know, trying to merge it with Goodreads. And I'm going to keep things very simple on the left. I'm just going to write again 2022 stats. And I wanted one more die cut on the right, but nothing that would cover too much of the frames or the actual information. And I love these pink and yellow ombre alphas. And they have numbers. I'm always a fan of that. It drives me crazy when I buy alpha stickers and they don't have numbers. So I like to use, even if I'm gonna put my letters in a curve, I like to put them in this little ruler to make sure that it's gonna fit. Kind of gives you an idea. And I wanted to add something in that little frame, but that drink just, it made no sense being there. And even though the circle that I added that says coffee and books is really big, it went pretty well with the theme of these pages. And as always, I use the Mono Aqua liquid glue in case I put too much adhesive on it. That way it doesn't dry sticky or tacky, and I can close my pages without being afraid that they're gonna stick together. I just added a few stars in the middle, kind of soften that up a little bit, especially that circle in the bottom. I think that's the pace. Most of the books I read had a medium pace, but the colors were a little bit too strong. My first circle, I believe, was it was the pages. I think it's underneath 100, under 100 pages, then 100 to 500 and 500 and more. And I think I've read the books that I read mostly were from 100 to 500 pages. these are the pages for my stats. I love making these pages and ending the book this way. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're having an awesome day. Bye.